Hello, so today on the Flash Briefing, and all this week actually on the Flash Briefing, the VUX World Flash Briefing, Luciana Morais from Witlingo is asking the question, is the demand for voice designers temporary? So everyone's trying to automate as much as they can. Every industry is going through a sort of transformation sort of phase at the moment. And with tools like SaySpring, Pullstring Converse, Alexa, Blueprints, the question is voice design going to be automated, and is that going to then have an impact on the demand for voice designers? We're discussing that all week on the Flash Briefing. You can enable it by just saying Alexa, enable VUX World Flash Briefing, and get involved in the discussion. You can send your answers to vux.world/flash and we'll play it on the Flash Briefing. We've got a discussion going on LinkedIn. We'll have a poll running on Twitter as well, so you can get involved in either of those places, at VUX World on Twitter and Kane Sims on LinkedIn. My thoughts on this, I was thinking about this all day yesterday, and all of these tools, all these automation tools, essentially what they're doing is they're automating the coding behind the scenes. They're automating the kind of development process. Storyline, for example, drag and drop tool, you can create an Alexa skill, you don't have to touch a line of code. It just automates the code creation. Things like Alexa Blueprints, they to an extent automate the design process because you've got defined intents and defined kind of values that you're going to return. But what these sort of tools are, it's almost like Wix website builder and one-on-one my website builder. Do you know, like things that will enable you just to drag and drop a website together. It automates the coding of the design, it automates the sort of all of the code side of things, but you've still got a degree of flexibility around where you place stuff and stuff like that. But if you think about the question of whether or not that's going to have an impact on the demand for voice designers, Wix and one-on-one my website hasn't really had an impact on the demand for web designers or web developers. All it does is it lowers the barrier to entry. So for Wix and one-on-one my website, they may well be targeting one-man bands, local restaurants, local shops, all of that kind of stuff, the kind of smaller companies that aren't going to have the budget for paying an agency to come and design a website. And that's the kind of same situation that we're in with Alexa Blueprints and with Storyline, is that it's lowering the barrier to entry for people to be able to get on these platforms and actually create something. I don't think it's going to have an impact at the end of the market where uniqueness is important, where individuality is important, where conveying a particular brand message or justifying a particular brand position, or all of that kind of branding element and everything it takes to create a unique experience, which, if you're a company that are employing more than probably 20 or so people, and you know that a good digital experience can have an impact on your bottom line, and that's kind of your strategy, then I don't think that the blueprints and the storylines and stuff like that is a way that you're going to get something entirely unique. Storyline's a bit of a unique example because you can actually do some very sophisticated stuff on that, but the automation of everything when it comes to voice is only going to serve a certain end of the market. So in the same way as Wix and one-on-one my website are helping local restaurants and one-man bands have a presence online, things like Amazon Blueprints and SaySpring, those are kind of enabling anyone to get involved in that space. So I think it's probably going to be more prevalent with hobbyists and people who just want to automate the home and kind of like one-man bands or really local businesses. But when it comes to creating an experience that needs to be unique, it needs to be reflective of your brand, and it needs to cement your brand position or provide an element of value that's reflective of your brand, when it comes to that, I think there will always be a need for design input. So I do think that, yes, there's a potential for the demand for voice designers to be lowered, but ultimately I don't think it's really going to matter. It's just going to open up the market and lower the barrier to entry to that kind of bottom end of the market. So thank you, Luciana, for that question. That's just my opinion. You give me your opinion and we can discuss that going forward this week. VUX.world/flash or LinkedIn Kane Sims or at VUX World on Twitter. Until tomorrow.